Hello, everybody, and welcome to IA Command. I'm Noah, better known as TV Boy. I want to first say thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You are all what are allowing this channel to continue to exist, and thank you to our newest Patreon, Chris Emick. So today we are looking at another game from Worlds, this one from the Swiss rounds, and today I have another special guest on, David Gao.
Hi.
David, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on to talk about this game. So we have again. This is round three. We're playing on Tarkin Initiative on Rogue AI. We have Dave. You're up at the top with the Scum list, and you're playing against Alfonso, playing on the bottom with Spectre Cell, which was the list to beat on the day.
Yeah, so I had initiative, and I chose the outdoor deployment side, which comes with this little sheltered square near the tree up at the top right. I think this is
Hmm.
actually one of my stronger map objective combinations against Spectre Cell, um, because the Loth-cats with Beast Tamer can run around, move so far, grabbing objective points. I
Hmm.
have heard it argued that the more sheltered side is a little bit of a trap, but I think for me it's more familiarity, as I haven't actually played Tarkin so much since it's the old map that I just went with what felt good.
Okay, and David, you're playing a list that's basically kind of like the Victory Point Hunters list that we've seen with Sabine and Hondo and Jabba, Black Market. But you're playing Loth-cats in your list. Uh, didn't anybody tell you that Loth-cats are bad?
uh,
Just kidding, of course.
so I actually started playing Lothcats quite early, and in all my games, they never were the reason that I would lose a match. They always kind of performed better than I expected, and they ended up in my worlds list.
That's awesome. By the way, I was totally defending Loth-cats at dinner the night before Worlds, and I didn't even know you were going to be playing them. But I was telling Brett, I think they're not that bad. But
Excellent.
okay, so, and then by the way, everybody, David's coming to us from all the way from London, England. Thank you for beating the time difference for this. And you were just recently interviewed on the Zion's Finest podcast. So if anybody wants to know more about David or about his bigger worlds experience, go ahead and check that episode out. I'll put a link in the description. Okay, so we had started off with, it looks like Jabba. You went first with Jabba to focus one of the Lothcats.
Yeah,
Are
so
you?
I started out basically with an early Java to grab a card, which can dictate a little bit about what I do in round one. And I think I followed with 3PO, focusing up the other Lost Cat, and
Mm-hmm.
moving 3PO up two squares, but just one short of being shocked by Chopper up by the terminal.
And when you're playing against Chopper, who do you usually put on the terminal if you need to?
I try to force him to activate Chopper first.
Oh, I
In
see.
in a couple of maps, one of the Lothcats can actually eat Chopper right away, uh, which is helpful.
So you kind of sacrifice the 3 point cat for the chopper.
Yeah, this is actually quite a discussion that I had with Alistair Scott, whether or not that's worth creating one of the focused big cat hits for Chopper early on. It really surprises people, but on the other
Mm-hmm.
hand, getting that out onto a bigger Spectre often helps a lot more.
It also means that you're taking away an activation from them without losing an activation since you have the second cat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so Alfonso activating Zeb used motivation to push Ezra forward, and he's kind of piling into that middle hallway by his terminal. Are you afraid to open the door at all on this map against Spectre Cell?
I am terrified of opening that door right next to the deployment zone. I think
Mm-hmm.
every time I've done that, things just go so horribly. So this game, I think you'll notice I don't open that door.
Yeah, I've noticed that's the play is most people will force Spectre to open the door and give up some victory points in the early rounds.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think with a lot of maps and matchups against Spectre, you need to just sit back and do your thing and let them take over the map first.
Hmm.
It is a bit of a strain as you watch them get whatever they want, but bad to rush at them, I would say.
Hmm. Because they'll just eat you alive if you get close.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he starts picking up some objective points with his Zeb.
Hmm.
Two isn't too bad, and I think
And it
I'm just
does.
waiting for Chopper to go so that I can start doing actual things.
Yeah. And it does move all the way up to the blue objective, which is pretty out of the way. Kind of takes the objectives out of the game for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little far. I was hoping later on to be able to get Loth-cats to hit something and touch an objective, but because it went up to the blue, it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
So I
So it looks like.
activate my Sabine,
Hmm.
mainly to avoid doing anything else, since I'm still not really ready to open the door or contest the terminal. And very luckily, I had a Rebel Graffiti early.
Yeah. How often do you think you had that Rebel Graffiti turn one? Because that's so impactful.
Uh, I would say about the normal amount. I mean, because you draw your starting hand, you draw one from Jabba, and then by the start of round two, you see quite a few more cards from the end of round draw, the black
Yeah.
market.
It was
It's
about one
not
in three.
too bad to have it round one or a very early round two.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. See,
it's so strong right now that the Rebel Graffiti Sabine is one of the main kind of Spectre counters. You almost do punish them a little bit by holding back and picking up those 2 points.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the Spectre Cell players, like Brett and Daniel, were cutting that card from their deck, and I think they're right to cut it. But I actually think it's stronger in a deck like yours with Sabine, where you have the card draw to dig for it to try and grab it early.
Yeah,
And like
I
you
think
said,
I agree with that. I mean, definitely Spectre is really good at killing everything.
mm-hmm,
But my list will run out of steam about halfway through killing someone else's list, and I need to make up all the rest of those points somehow. The
and it
graffiti is,
contributes,
yeah,
yeah, it contributes to your larger strategy of getting points through cards, and you need that kind of critical mass of victory point cards.
yeah, exactly. So Chopper's finally gone up and hasn't managed to shock anyone. So I am getting ready to do something now. So I
Yeah,
think
because that really.
the choice is who I open the door with, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whoever does that is going to be put up quite far without the ability to shoot. So I continue just kind of moving Onar up first because he actually won't really get a good shot this round either way. And I just want to force him to use up some more activations before I make my move.
Mm. And you don't have any interest in moving into that green tree area by the green and yellow.
Um, I think the thing was that every time I open that door, horrible things happen to me, as
Interesting.
I said before. And
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the terminal and contesting the middle of this map is quite important because the AI can jump um, back and forth, sort of, and it's better to be in the middle so that you can run off to the sides and pick it up rather than to commit fully to one side, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
he
So. Yep.
activates Kanan and
Mm-hmm.
just moves him up. And he asks me at this point, of course, who I'm going to activate next. And I choose Greedo, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because without focus, Greedo's attack is not. not the best against Spectre Cell anyways.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of movement, and I use him to open the door, basically. So interestingly, one of the reasons I do that is because I had already drawn on the lamb at this point.
Oh.
So I tend to like to use Greedo and Hondo almost as the frontliners of my list, strangely enough, even though they're kind of frail for the points,
Mm-hmm.
especially compared to Spectre Cell. But that white dice, especially forcing them to roll attacks against white dice while you have on the lamb in hand, is really powerful. I think this is something the continuity project has been thinking a lot about. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you declare an attack on a white dice figure and you have all these cards you can play, and they get to hold back and see what the result is that they roll
Mm-hmm.
before playing on the lamb, it can eat up a huge amount of resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Very powerful card. So you do go with Greedo, and you did open the door. So, but he still has Sabine and Ezra to activate.
Yeah, and I've still got Hondo, and I've still got the cats. So at this point, I'm kind of wondering what exactly to do with the cats. Because part
Mm-hmm.
of me really wants to use one cat to give the other cat a damage token, and then just swing that cat into his back line and destroy something, probably Chopper.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of me that's perhaps a little more sensible um, wants to get those focused Pierce attacks out onto Kanan and Zeb, who don't have the recover, and just start to whittle down his front line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zeb is especially threatening to your list, I think, because you don't have those big defensive buffs like Vader or Spectre does. So each of those individual attacks he makes does a lot of damage.
Yeah, his two attacks are really a lot more painful than you would think they are initially. I
Mm-hmm.
remember once my first game against Spectre Cell, I was still running a bunch of weak ways, and I managed to kill quite a lot of things, and Zeb just runs up and murders everything
Mm-hmm.
left and right. He just takes out entire deployments and then Spectre Cells, and that's half the list gone.
Yeah, he's not great against things like IG or Vader who have defense buffs against each attack, but against stuff that just has like a regular defense dice, he hits pretty hard.
Yeah,
So Alfonso is activating Sabine, and he's gonna go for the double move and grenade to hit 3PO and Greedo.
and yeah, 3PO and Greedo.
Um,
Very luckily for me, my luck's
oh,
pretty good this game. He rolls
yeah,
the surge side for no damage.
yep. So nothing going on with this Sabine activation. And now you got a pretty, you, he's pretty much chosen your target for you, right? Or at least
Yeah,
for Hondo,
at least for Hondo. So
because
I
there's no
really
way.
don't like attacking white die figures if there's something better to shoot at. I think
Mm,
that dodge is scary for everyone. So
that's fair.
one of the big differences between running Loth-cats over weak ways is that you lose that ability to make them reroll the dodge, right?
Oh yeah, but you're slightly better against black because you have that Pierce.
Yeah. So Hondo activates, and I shoot the beam.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually pays me, I think. So he'll lose his
Mm-hmm.
2 victory points, and I'll gain two, which is kind of what I want because my list actually is still quite victory point manipulation. I would say more so than Killy.
Mm-hmm.
So Hondo doesn't get his +2, and he shoots Sabine and only does 2 damage, but he's made a 4 point swing already, which is great.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, yeah, Hondo and the cats are kind of your best attackers here, just because Hondo's gonna give you those victory points or do a big attack. Um,
Yeah, really surprisingly, I actually get his other ability off quite often.
oh, the one where you're in the deployment zone.
Yeah, the one where you run into the deployment zone and you steal another 2 points from him.
Yeah, I
So
always kick myself when somebody does that to me.
I actually have kind of a love-hate relationship with Hondo.
Hmm.
Um, I think I want to dislike him. Just on paper, he doesn't quite seem like something that I would value. But every time I play with him, he does much better than I expect.
So we've got Ezra moving up to make his attack on Greedo. I think this would kill him if it goes through.
Yeah, so this would have been a fatal
Four.
Greedo
Yeah,
shot.
definitely. Would have been four, five, six, seven, eight. It would have been 8 damage. But you have
Yep.
on the lamb, like you said.
And then there goes my lamb, sort of right away. So if you notice, my Greedo Hondo are definitely the farthest up, especially
Mm-hmm.
with that on the lamb.
They do have the
Something,
white dice, which can be useful against Spectre.
yeah. So something I mentioned in the podcast to Kenny is that my trait synergy with this list is actually not that great. So
Mm-hmm.
if you look carefully, it's only Greedo Hondo and Jabba who can
Mm-hmm.
use on the lamb. So if I've got it, I want to be able to spend it early.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm not getting enough value out of that.
And then, so you move Greedo up towards the blue. Are you kind of just thinking you want to be able to take that objective if you need to?
Yeah, so that's part of it. The other part of it is I always like to put him somewhere where I can try to get his shot off without being shot back.
Right. So you're in
Against,
that hiding space.
yeah, so against Spectre Cell, it's not such a big deal because of all the
Mm-hmm.
melee figures, but the
Mm-hmm.
habit. So he activates the Spectre Cell extra attack, and he uses Sabine to shoot Greedo with Element of Surprise, and that does quite a bit of damage. So five onto Greedo.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also quite big that he doesn't die. So he has kind of absorbed quite a lot of hits round one already.
But because you moved him, he had to use those movement points to push Sabine forward instead of having her fall back.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yes.
always try to go for Sabine if they offer Sabine. She's just so frustrating in the mid to late game with her grenade and attack.
Yeah, Sabine
And
Sabine is so strong. I almost feel like she's something in my list that I didn't really have a choice in terms
oh,
of whether or not to bring her, with that graffiti
mm-hmm.
and everything. So
Yeah, she.
I still have Lothcats to go. Save them for my last activation. And now is when I'm really fighting that internal urge to just run up and bite Chopper. That's really what
Oh,
part of me wants to do. I do manage to not do that, control myself a little bit.
yeah,
And
because
so,
even though
yeah,
it feels good to kill Chopper, I've noticed in my games that like if they go for Chopper too early, that they don't have enough gas left in the tank to deal with the big attackers that they need to.
yeah, exactly. I think part of the issue is that Spectre Cell is so strong late game, even after they lose a couple of figures, that it's
Mm-hmm.
really hard to keep up with them. So if I'm sacrificing attackers to take out their support, it tends to end badly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so I think I try to get both cats to hit the same target, and grab that objective over there, but I'm unable to work that out. So instead, I just try to pump out as much damage as I can
You
on
move. Looks
Zeb
like
and Kanan.
you move 5 and pounce,
Yep.
and no power token for this one, but you're focused.
Yeah, I think I needed all my actions, basically.
Uh, so you had a decent hit here. 5 damage, pierce 1.
Yeah, and he
Kanan
takes
uses
the
his
reroll
reroll.
on Kanan. I'm taking it as 1 damage, I believe. So I
Yep.
get 4 damage on Kanan, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty good for a 3 point figure.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I send that cat way into the back. Because with Beast Tamer they basically can be almost anywhere you want them to be. So if they can get
Yeah.
somewhere safe, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a moment in the late game where you went from like one end of the map to the other, and I was like, how did he do that?
So the other cat hits Kanan,
Um,
but I think he actually re-rolls and it ends up being three damage. So
yeah.
4 damage total with the one that he took from re-rolling Zeb's dice.
Oh yeah, so that was an attack on Zeb, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so the
right.
first
So
one was on Zeb, the second one was on Kanan, I think.
oh, I
How'd you
see.
know? Yeah. So watching this afterwards, sometimes when you watch yourself play,
Uh huh.
you kind of go, "Oh, did I really make that decision?" Part of
Yeah,
me feels I should have hit the same target with both.
yeah, because they could have both hit Kanan.
Hmm.
So I was curious
Yeah,
about that one too.
exactly.
I think what
Well,
happened was you hit Zeb, and then the second one couldn't quite get to Zeb, so you
yeah,
were forced to hit
that's
Kanan
probably
instead.
it.
So there may have been a miscount there on how far that second one could move.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, so round two, initiative passes, and Ezra runs up. Like
yeah, and now he knows you don't
he's
have on the lamb anymore.
exactly, and I think he wants to take out Hondo. Like it was
Right.
quite a tough choice for him who to really focus on right away.
Yep. He's kind of free to pummel now because that's the scary thing with pummel is if you try to go after a smuggler, if you pummel and then they on the lam the first one, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Um, so Alfonso has the first activation.
Yep. And as Ezra is right up there next to Hondo.
Now, funny enough, I think he.
He
Okay, there's
does
the
he does
pummel,
have pummel. Yeah.
and he completely
So
ignores your cats.
yeah. So a lot of people either I would say overestimate or underestimate the cats. One or the other.
Now, in this case, I think it's justified. I think Hondo is the bigger threat. He's worth more points, and he is going to deal a lot of damage, especially since Alfonso doesn't have any victory points to give him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is the right call. So the first hit I blank out and he manages to put 8 onto Hondo, which is really quite painful, leaving him on 1.
And
But then
there's
I dodged the second hit.
there's the dodge. Yep, and we talked about in other games how white dice are actually much better against Spectre than black because Spectre can just pierce for days, but they have nothing against the dodge. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really how you beat Spectre. Or one of the ways to beat Spectre is just have white dice and get slightly
I
above
mean,
average luck.
you can run Element, and you can actually run Heightened with Sabine as that like a desperation dodge cancel. So he manages to get Hondo to 1 health, but then he has to Spectre Cell and finish Hondo off with another attack.
Hmm. Yep.
So
So
that,
3 attacks into Hondo,
take him out.
who usually dies to 2 attacks. So that was in your favor.
Yeah, so now Hondo's down. My lamb is gone as well,
Hmm.
and the Greedo has only got two health.
Yeah, so this is an interesting turn for you. So you have Greedo, who's
Yeah,
almost
so
dead.
I go with Loth-cats next, I believe, because
Hmm.
I'm afraid of a bunch of lightsaber wielding people chopping them up before they
Hmm.
can do much.
Yep, because if they are just standing there, then eventually the Alfonso will just say, "Well, I'll just hit them because they're right there."
Yeah, so it's really interesting how much people decide to commit to killing them. I think a lot of people do undercommit. They try to finish them off with small attacks, maybe from Hera or Chopper, and they save the big lightsaber hits for something else.
Hmm.
But if you fail to kill a cat with one of those attacks, it's actually quite a big swing in my favor.
Yep, I think 5 health has not been relevant in the meta for quite some time, and I think people have forgotten. It's not like people have an internal measurement for how much damage their figures can do, and I think it's gone from it at this point. It's just, can my figure do 3 damage or can it do 7 for
Yeah, exactly.
a lot of
I mean,
things.
for 5 health Lothcats, it's almost like they have 1 health and a white die. They either
Hmm.
survive or they don't, right? So them
Yeah.
surviving to me is almost like a dodge. Yeah, so I activate Lothcats because I want to pump out some damage before one of them gets taken out. So the first one power tokens himself and then just pounces right next to Kane in one space and attacks him.
Yeah, that fresh catch ability is so good. Just it's almost like they can focus themselves. I mean, it's kind of like Prowl for the weak ways.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their damage profile compared to the weak ways, they're actually really similar. So
Hmm.
focus, they're hitting blue, green, green, and they search for +2 damage, and they get a Pierce 1. Weak
Hmm.
ways are green, 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 search for +2 damage, and they spend a second surge for Pierce 1. Right.
Hmm. And I love how you position that second cat so you were able to pounce in and still get your fresh catch action. First
Yeah. So
Lothcat did 4 to
this,
Kanan.
yep. The first Lothcat hits Kanan. The second one actually does Beast Tamer first to get the movement points,
Hmm.
and then does a fresh catch for the power token,
Okay.
pounces Kanan, and then runs off.
So here's where kind of the weak way comparison comes up, is that they cannot re-roll, right? So if they get that really bad roll that's all surges, they kind of can't do anything about it.
Yeah, so I think that is definitely a big disadvantage, and not being able to play hunter or smuggler cards is a huge disadvantage in the current meta.
Yeah.
But what they do have is the movement, and a lot of people weren't used to that kind of beast tamer pounce fresh catch interactions.
Right.
And you
And the
can
thing.
also hit things from out of line of sight. So if you really, really need to kill a chopper or a 3PO or something, and you've got celebration, you can actually go and get them. Whereas with the weak ways, they can hide stuff from you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is you don't have to. They can't hide from the cats. They can.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
it's
fight them, but they
it's
can't hide from them.
hard to hide. Very hard to hide.
Um, so you were able to take the blue objective, and it went down to red. So the objective's currently underneath Kanan. So speaking
Yeah,
of underrolling,
he hits a Lothcat rolling all surges, which is basically a dodge for
a
the
dodge.
Lothcat, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So amazingly, this sloth cat survives a hit from Kanan. Three damage to the sloth cat.
Yeah,
No
and then
follow up.
he he wants to get the 2 points from the objective, but
Mm.
I think Kanan is low enough that he's gotta run away instead. Because he's on 5 health now. But
But again, like you were saying, because of the Loth-cats, like that Loth-cat by the blue could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, you could easily get there and have a lot of movement points to spare. Um,
yeah, so Kanan moves all the way back behind Chopper.
yep. So, because he could have taken that objective and then kind of moved, like towards the hangar.
He could have moved 2 spaces, but he would have been pretty close to everything else, which
Well, yeah, I
is
guess Greedo
fairly
would have
near.
had him there if he
Yeah,
moved into the
Greedo,
hangar.
Sabine can move around quite well as well.
So you've gone with the cats. What was the reason for leaving that cat in the middle there?
Um, it didn't have any more movement, so I wanted the
Oh, I
two
see.
points from the second cat, so that one had to take the Beast Tamer, and the
Okay,
choice is basically, do I token up and pounce, or do I just pounce and run away?
that's right. You had
And
to
the
you used the two actions for the token.
Yeah, and the cats can kind of whiff pretty hard without the reroll, so
Hmm.
usually safer to take the token.
Yeah, they kind of need that power, either the power token or the focus, to really push damage through.
Yeah,
Like a lot of figures now. So you activate 3PO to focus Onar,
yeah. I think
and
the rest of my list, a lot of it was influenced heavily by the fact that the cats needed power tokens. I
hmm,
mean, Sabine is strong enough with Rebel Graffiti that you almost feel obligated to take her, especially in a victory points focus list, right? And Hondo and Onar, I would say, are some of the only figures in Scum that do quite well without focus. I mean, they still really like to have it, but they're pretty decent without.
so Zeb is activating, plays Heart of Freedom, so he can recover the damage and get that objective. So you used that activation to focus Onar. Had you considered focusing Greedo with Jabba so he could have a focused parting shot?
Um, I think it was the choice between that or focusing Onar and having him uh, do a couple of tricks. So I actually had Rush into To the Limit ready, as you'll see in a minute.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then here is the invincible, immortal Greedo
Yeah, so Zeb runs up and attacks Greedo twice,
for an
who's
easy
on,
kill.
yep, 2 health, and Greedo is fine. So that was absolutely nuts. I mean, this Greedo is unkillable.
Which is so important because now again you get to make that play of focusing Greedo, and you can probably get now a regular attack and still get his parting shot.
Yeah, so I wasn't really expecting Greedo to survive,
Yeah.
um, and I wanted to focus up Sabine and Onar later, I
Oh,
think.
I
So
see.
because I wanted to get Kanan. Kanan was a bit farther back. He's on 5 health remaining, which against Spectre Cell is really 6 damage you've got to get through, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
so easy.
Okay.
Yeah, so because Greedo's still alive miraculously, Jabba will focus him up. Draw me another card. I think if Greedo had died, I would have focused up a Loth-cat instead.
Or I think, like you said, Sabine.
So Jabba can't actually focus up Sabine.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she's
That's right.
she's rebel. But the Loth-cat way to the left is actually fairly safe. He would have to send Hera all the way out to be able to have a shot at him.
Right. Okay, so Jabba Focus Greedo, you drew a card. Do you remember what you drew?
Um, I actually don't.
Yeah, probably wouldn't matter that turn. So you kind of picked up quite a tempo advantage here, um, by having the Loth-cat
Yeah,
and Greedo survive.
that Loth-cat survival was huge. I mean, the Greedo double dodge was quite big too, and
Hondo's
Hondo's
dodge.
dodge on the second pummel hit was quite big. So he wants to kill Greedo now, and he
Cause he,
grenades him and
oh,
doesn't get the 2 damage. So
just the
Greedo
one.
lives yet again.
Um,
Greedo's on one.
and it's funny because when he shot at Greedo with Sabine the first time, I remember I think he had. I thought he had Hera. Oh, maybe that was something else. Because I remember him saying I could add another damage, but he chose not to.
Yeah. So I think that first attack would have killed Greedo. I think it was actually Ezra attacking Greedo way back
Oh, is that
in
what it
the
was?
beginning. Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember he could have. Oh no, but that's when you on the lamb. So,
yeah, exactly.
but anyway, so Greedo survives with 1 health. I think
And then
Alfonso.
and then
Alfonso's.
an
Yeah.
agonizing decision,
Do you
but I
waste
think
a Sabine
yeah,
attack on a 1 health Greedo?
he decides to finish him off. And of
He
course,
does. He dodged.
it's no, he doesn't dodge.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that would be even more ridiculous.
But yeah, it's important for Alfonso to get rid of Greedo here because that way he's denying you that attack. Although you still
Yeah,
get your parting
and
shot.
the perhaps unanswerable attack if he can find a good spot for breaking line of sight.
Or you could just run him up and shoot Kanan, right?
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
got 5 speed. So we got tools for the job attack on Zeb. Oh no, you're shooting at Sabine.
Sabine. So I think what I drew was actually a heightened reflexes.
Oh,
So that's most likely why I made this choice.
okay. So we got 5 damage going through right now, and it looks like you got the accuracy. So you get 3 and you get +1 from Greedo's card.
Yeah, I mean Greedo was actually pretty good at shooting long distances. He
Well,
can
if he's
hit,
focused.
yeah, he can hit eight or more quite easily. Yeah,
He
so
does.
the other thing with forcing him to run Sabine all the way up and sit next to the Loth-cat is that he is unable to play Rebel Graffiti.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Greedo's finally dead, but he did so much work this game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dodging.
It looks like Sabine took a bleed there.
Yeah, 5 damage and a bleed on Sabine. The Sabine always feels a little bit easier to kill
Mm-hmm.
somehow than I remember, especially if it's my Sabine.
Yeah, you don't have that built-in block.
Yeah, so I activate my Sabine and I shoot his Sabine.
It looks like you got 2 damage with the grenade onto Ezra and Sabine.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
So
grenade
I
rolls
want to
can.
take her out, and I didn't spend my heightened from the Greedo shot, so I still have it here. So
Mm.
it's a fairly safe take Sabine out of action move.
And you got a really good roll there.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
don't actually need it to finish her off.
And here's where all the victory point shenanigans come into play. So you got 12 points from that Sabine because of celebration and Jabba.
Yeah, and I still will keep playing that Rebel Graffiti off of my Sabine.
That's right. So there's a 14-point swing, and your Sabine gets to retreat back to safety.
Yeah, so it takes me to 20. I mean, it feels really awkward sometimes playing with Sabine because her value is so high with
Mm-hmm.
that graffiti that I tend to be extra cautious with her.
I think that's the right way to play. I watched a lot of games at Worlds, and I noticed that the good players that were winning, they were kind of keeping Sabine back and safe so they could maximize her value in the late game.
She's also only 7 points, so if you do get your round one graffiti, she pays for herself if she doesn't die, right?
Yep. Yep. She generates a lot of value. Um. All right. So Chopper is activating, and you still have no one to shock. I think he's gonna try and
Yeah, so
finish off the
Chop-
cat here.
Chopper's gonna come beat that cat to death.
He is just outside of ram range, so he
Yeah,
goes for the attack, which is the safer. Uh, very bad roll, but it's just enough to do 2 damage
yeah. I
with the
mean,
Pierce 2+1.
the scary thing is that if you think back a couple of metas ago, if you had a figure that had 6 health basically and rolled red green with +1 damage and a Pierce 2 for the Surge,
Mm-hmm.
that's not stats for a terminal sitter. That's quite a scary little unit there.
Oh yeah, Chopper. People, I think some people in the beginning were underestimating Chopper, but he is a very good cleanup figure, especially since
Yeah,
he can do two. Like he can almost do 2 attacks, right? He can ram and then still
Ram.
hit you.
So he plays the graffiti off his chopper since his Sabine is already dead.
Yep.
I remember one of the earlier games I played against Spectre Cell, I was playing a Vader list, and I had killed everything except Chopper, Hera, and Sabine, and my Vader was on full health, had taken no damage, but all I had left were a couple of officers, and the three of them just murdered Vader in about a round and a half. I
That
was
sounds
just in shock.
sounds like my
What
regionals
happened?
final. All right, so here is your big Onar turn. So you
Yeah,
did
so
play. You
Onar
rushed.
rushes up,
Mm-hmm.
and then I play to the limit. So I always rush to the limit first in case they negate it. You can still attack or run back.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets
But
all the way up there, and he shoots Kanan to finish him off.
yep, and it looks like you were doing. Looks like you had just enough here because the range can be sticky sometimes with Onar.
Yeah,
So you kind of want to get close. One,
yeah. If
two,
he's
three,
too
four,
far, he
five.
can't spend all his surges. Gets gets pretty awkward.
So you actually had exactly enough damage to finish him off there, 5, and I think you had exactly enough range because it looks like you have
So
5 accuracy.
I actually did have the heightened, I think, in hand still.
Oh, okay. So even if you missed range there, you would have been able to take out the 2 blocks.
Yeah, and I was running positioning advantage in my deck
Oh,
as well,
okay.
so I might have had that. I think
But
with my list, I don't need to kill as many figures
right,
typically, because I'm doing the points rush, so
yep,
I can really hold those cards to secure a couple of kills that I do need.
yep. So Hera retaliates, taking a shot at Onar, and I
Yes,
think the get down Onar ability ended up being redundant here.
didn't do a whole lot.
Yep, because either you're just removing her Pierce 2
Yeah.
or she pierces through the +1 block. So, um, yeah, actually, Victory
So
Point Hunters
Onar
was
takes 6.
yeah he does take a lot of damage though. I mean, Hera hits hard. I was gonna say Victory Point Hunters was actually the only non-Spectre Cell list that I was afraid to play as a Spectre player, because they're so good at maximizing the 1 or 2 kills that you can get from Spectre, and then just holding it down till time runs out or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that Spectre feels so kind of stat efficient that
Hmm.
fighting them is almost a lost cause. But Victory Point Hunters, you play a little bit of a different game.
Hmm.
So if you look at the board state, I mean, I've got a lot of points, but I almost have no offensive units left now.
Hmm.
Onar will die in a bit, and I only have a cat and Sabine, and
So
they really can't kill so many.
we had a bit of awkward exchange here with the black market.
So what happened was I actually flipped two cards at once on accident.
Hmm.
So we looked at what the card that actually was on the top of the deck, and that was negation. And then
Yeah.
we just decided to shuffle the rest of the deck. And I sold negation for 1. I think I was starting to want to race for that 40 points.
Okay, so because I thought you had just did that because you had committed to selling whatever was on the top. Because you get initiative this round. Take initiative has not been played.
No,
So,
not yet.
so you weren't interested in having that negation in hand to stop his take initiative if he had it.
Um, I think I was getting close enough that that's not what I was worried about. So
Mm-hmm.
to get to 30 points left means that there are kind of 5 2-point things I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So one objective and then a couple of instances of rebel graffiti will take me quite far. So I just really wanted to push the points forward.
Yeah, because at this point, all you have to do is kill Hera, Chopper, and get an objective, and you're at 40.
Yeah, but remember he also hasn't played Lamb. So I
Right.
do go for that chopper kill.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I go for the chopper kill, I get it, and then I just decide I'm not killing anything else for the game.
Okay,
I
so
have
now,
this tendency to hit the absolute worst die rolls at the end of a game when I just need anything to win. I'll roll all blanks or all surges.
mm, yeah, and that was a smart. I mean, he couldn't one shot Hera anyway, even with a rush, statistically speaking. But he could do
Yeah,
that to
that would be
Chopper.
tough.
So that
So
play was really good.
I killed Chopper, and now I'm 6 points. And the thing is, with my Sabine so far back, it's pretty much guaranteed that I'll get off at least 1 or 2 more Rebel graffitis. So I'm really looking for 2 points at this point.
Okay, and I see. So if you hadn't sold the negation, you would have been 4 objectives away instead of 3.
Yeah,
That makes
exactly.
sense.
'Cause the kind of 2 point intervals are somehow really important.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, if he had taken initiative there, Onar would have died before he could have activated.
Yeah, that could have happened as well.
But you're doing the math. You're counting to 40. So Ezra is activating. He no longer has Kanan to help him, but he gets a good roll anyway. We've got 6, 7, 8. It looks like he's
Yeah, I think
showing 8 damage.
he gets exactly enough. I think that red dice was from tools, and then he rolled a 1 on it, but he added 1 from the
Oh yeah.
Spectre +1. Yeah, so he had quite a big hit ready to finish off on.
So and he is able to take the objective here. So at this point, we're just racing for objectives. Although Alfonso does need to kill, I think, probably one or two more figures of yours.
He
So,
actually needs to kill quite a few to get up to 40. He's still 15 away.
yep. Because a
It'd be
cat,
really hard for him to kill off Sabine
I think he'd have to
and
kill
Jabba
everything except
even.
Jabba,
Yeah.
and then get two more objectives to get to 40.
Yeah, so here's where he attacks the Loth-cat
Hmm.
with Zeb's.
And this seems like it should be guaranteed almost.
So a Zeb attack on a Loth-cat, on a full health Loth-cat, is not actually a
Well,
guaranteed
no, not the one,
kill.
but he can attack twice.
Yeah, but I think he's using the
Oh,
Spectre
he's using Spectre
Spectre
Cell.
cell. Yeah.
I don't know why didn't have that in the overlay. I apologize.
So the Loth-cat takes 3 again, which seems to be how much they take when they
This
don't
is
die.
crazy to me. I saw this happen. I mean,
Yeah,
I had
so
to count. Like, is it really? It's only 14 squares because
yeah,
you
that
can.
that Loth-cat just shoots across the map and decides to be safe over there.
Yeah, I know he's totally safe. Um, so yeah, move from one end of the map to the other end to steal that objective. So Alfonso has Zeb and Hera left, and he can all basically just pick up objectives.
Yeah, so I mean, for people who are wondering, actually, if you do the math on how likely it is for Zeb to kill a Loth-cat with his green red, +1 damage from Spectre and Surge for +2, it's actually only a 36% chance.
Yeah, that's very low. But I was thinking he was gonna double attack him. But yeah, it's funny. Like, and that was what I was saying before. Like, a single attack from Zeb or Hera or Chopper is only about to do like 3 or 4 damage to a black die. So that 5 health is very relevant for some reason against the support figures, unless they send their big Jedi or Sabine attacks at the cats.
Yeah, there has actually been a couple of games where I actually give them a defensive token, just to make sure they don't die to one of the smaller Spectre hits.
Yeah. So it looks like he was going to activate Zeb, but he was one space away from taking the red objective and being able to melee 3PO. So it looks like he went with Hera instead, so he could take that objective and kill 3PO in one activation.
Yeah, so he kills 3PO, which means I can only play Graffiti
Mm-hmm.
once this round. But I still have Sabine to go, who kind of wanders around in the deployment zone and then sprays some graffiti in the corner, which apparently
That's right. You have
is what it
graffiti.
takes. Yeah.
So you didn't. Yeah, you were. I forgot you had graffiti. So you only need one objective now. Um,
Yeah, so the next round I only need the 2 points.
right.
So I can either have a Loth-cat get it, or Sabine can just play graffiti.
And so it makes total sense because you could have gotten an attack off there, but it's pointless, right? You your path to victory here is keep Sabine alive and play Rebel Graffiti next turn.
Yeah, and really count the points. But if you look at what I've got left and what he has left, I mean, if we just fought this out, I have no chance of killing a full health almost Ezra, Zeb, and Hera.
Mm-hmm. So I think Jabba focused Sabine there. Uh,
Yeah, and I just draw a card. I think I'm looking for my take
although,
initiative.
oh, I see. Although, a quick note, Java can't focus Sabine like you said, but it
Oh,
doesn't
that's right.
it doesn't matter here.
That's right.
So digging for take initiative, and there it is. He slow rolled us there.
Yeah, so I didn't draw it, but I black market revealed it, and I grabbed that.
Yep, and that's pretty much it, unless he has negation.
Yeah, but
Um,
even if he has negation, it would have been really tough because then he wouldn't be able to negate my graffiti,
right.
and he would have had to somehow kill my Sabine in one go,
Yep.
which is possible. I mean, if Zeb had a movement point card and hit Sabine twice, that could have happened.
Yeah, and that was it. That was game. Yeah, well played. I mean, you had some fortune on your side there, but you played it really well and you played it smart right to the end.
Well, thanks. Yeah, my dice were really hot that game.
Yeah.
That Greedo was absolutely unkillable.
Honestly, I was surprised that Alfonso was able to rally as much as he did in that game. He really pushed hard and was able to bring it back, but you were able to shut the door on him.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good tournament skill. A lot of the players I played at Worlds do show that ability to keep going and come back
Hmm.
after the dice have betrayed you.
Yep, that is, and yeah, it's important to not give up or get disheartened, and try to pull back and keep fighting. But you did win, and you did make top 16, right? So you made. Did you make it all the
Yeah,
way to the semifinals or
no,
quarter
I got knocked
quarterfinals?
out on my first game on the second day. That was when my
Oh,
dice betrayed me.
oh. Well, it sounds like you had a good run. Um, I know you beat a lot of Spectre Cell players on day one. So congratulations, David. Uh,
Yeah, I actually played almost all Spectre Cell, other than one match against Double Weakways.
All right. Well, that was the game. Everybody, if you want to hear more, check out Zion's Finest podcast episode featuring David. David, thank you again for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
All right, everybody. Peace out.